So, without further ado, let me introduce Amit Amarasinghe. He's going to talk about safe and responsible social media. So, I don't know whether you guys are the right crowd. I think probably people with kids who are on Facebook should be here. Is it, Amita?
Well, this is the right audience, I guess.
The right audience. Okay, then take it away, man.
All right. Can everybody hear me clearly from the back? Good evening. All right. This is actually my third time at RefreshColombo. Most of you guys know me, Amita. I go as Ami Sampath on Twitter. So the first time I actually presented at Refresh was about a little more than 1 year back. Me and Yazil Nasir, we both got together and came here for a session on, what was that? Social Good Day, the Marshable event. And then this February, actually, February 2011, I presented on social media beyond just marketing. Because say, most of the time when I go for social media session, people talk about social media for marketing all the time. But okay, that's my job, using social media for marketing. I'm a social media marketer. But to an audience who are largely representing the technology community in Colombo, in Sri Lanka, I think it's not always relevant to talk about marketing aspect of social media. So that's why I always keep on searching for new topics which are going beyond marketing but addressing relevant areas in the domain of social media. So social media is actually not new for the people who are frequenting RefreshColombo. So that's why I put this as the first slide of my presentation. So I guess this might be the feeling because say in almost all the refresh sessions we've had so far, maybe 90% of the sessions we had at least one social media session. So this might turn out to be yet another social media session, or is it? Let's see. So the topic for today is safe and responsible social media. So mind you, safe social media is one thing and responsible social media is another thing, but as heavy users, I should say heavy users of Facebook, Twitter and all the other sort of social media tools which are available out there, we have to be a little bit more aware and vigilant about how we can actually use social media, that's Facebook and Twitter for you, safer and more responsibly. Well, before I come into the topic, let me quickly recatch on a slide which I did in my last appearance at RefreshColombo. I apologize, this slide won't come up nicely because of some technical glitch we had in the last minute because my laptop is having some issues. Well, I talked about these three phases of globalization which actually an author named Thomas Friedman talked about in his popular book called The World is Flat. Friedman is actually a columnist to New York Times. After he quit his job as that columnist, political columnist or international politics columnist for New York Times, he wrote this book, The World is Flat. And in this book, he actually goes on to talk about three phases of globalization. So slide won't come at supposed to be. So the first phase of globalization was actually about globalization of countries. Here we are talking about going back time to somewhere around 15th to 19th century, where countries like Spain, Portugal, Greece, and Great Britain, they built huge ships and they sent all these expeditors to conquer the world. They came to Asia, they went to Africa, and they spread their culture, thanks to which I'm wearing today, and their religion. So this was the first phase of globalization. Now, who ruled the world during this first phase of globalization was the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, and all the other Western empires. Now, the times changed and we came to the later 19th century and the 20th century, and it became the phase 2 of globalization, where the globalization of companies. Now, the first was the globalization of countries, second came the globalization of countries, where what happened was actually multinational companies who felt that their markets are becoming kind of saturated, so they thought of expanding their market territories into Asia and into Africa. So companies like Coke, Coca-Cola, Unilever, Singer, name it. So all these companies moved out of their home territories and came to our markets, came to Asia, went to Africa to expand their market territory. Now during this period, 20th century, the century which I was born in, you guys as well, companies, these multinational companies started to rule the world. Now, another interesting thing that I always keep reminding when I present these two phases. Now, if you look at the way the leftist politicians, the Marxist politicians, when they are on stage, they always refer to these two phases of globalization. The first one is about Adhirajyavadi Kumantrana. And the second one is about Bahujatika Samagam Buwalla. So the bad aspects of the first two phases of globalization. Now, in this century that we are living in right now, the 21st century, there is another phase of globalization which is taking place. This Thomas Friedman called as the globalization of individuals. Now, thanks to powerful communication tools, thanks to powerful Web 2.0 technologies, now normal people like you and me can communicate to the rest of the world without being dependent on big media publishers or big media corporations. So if I really want, I can publish a blog and talk to the world. So I am an individual. Now I've been given that power to talk to the world, talk to anyone out there living in the world. So individuals are becoming really powerful, and individuals are kind of ruling the world in this century that we are living in. Now, I'll give you an example. Now, everybody knows actually the great Russian Revolution of 1917 or somewhere. The name comes to your mind is V.I. Lenin. If you talk about the Cuban Revolution, the name Fidel Castro. Chinese Revolution, Mao Zedong. But if I ask you to name one or maybe two people who were behind the recent Egyptian revolution or the Tunisian revolution or maybe the whatever the other revolution going out there in the Middle East, can you name such one big name? There are no big names behind all these things which have been happening. It's all the activities of individuals who are getting together through these empowered social media tools. So that is a real good example or a clear indication that the power is now in this century is shifting from big organizations, big countries, big governments into the hands of small individuals like you and me. So that's why back in 2010, Time magazine named you as the person of the year. Now you are given that power to change the world because of these social media tools which are out there, available out there. But remember, as great Spider-Man once told, with great power comes great responsibility. So if you have the power, keep in mind, politicians are after the places where the power is. So if politicians start to realize, when politicians start to realize that the power is with you, anyway, power is with you, it used to be like that in any democracy. Now, the people will more, they will put more emphasis on power users on social media, active users on social media, the bloggers and power users on Twitter to get the advantage back to them. When I use the word politicians, don't think only of those people, the few 225 people who are inside the parliament, because the most powerful politicians are actually outside the parliament. the most powerful politicians are the ones who handle the media organizations. The most powerful politicians are the ones who are in, who are in your maybe village temple, the mosque, the church. So those are the real powerful politicians. I'm talking about them. So when you have the power, be vigilant that they will be after you. So if you look at these three, three concepts, the social media, then there's you, and there's rest of the world. The first thing is, you can actually change the world through social media if you really want. Julian Assange with WikiLeaks at least attempted doing so. And there are a few other, or maybe some other examples, case studies that we can see where people used social media as a tool of changing the world. But the other side of the coin is, social media can change your world too, maybe for the good or for the bad. So how it happens, let's see. A few things were discussed about search engine optimization in the earlier session. So this is a favorite quote that I always quote wherever I go and present. Google never forgets. They might be forgiving, but they never forget. Google is, of course, watching you. The point is, anything that you post about yourself on the internet is liable to be crawled by and appear in search engine. So it is really important that you are actually monitoring or actually actively managing the content that you share on the web, content that you create on the web. Because at the end of the day, what will happen is this information that you share on the web, on the World Wide Web, will ultimately create the best available profile for you on the World Wide Web, which anyone can access simply by typing your full name into the search box of Google. So the question is, when I say this, the normal reaction of the maybe the teenage and early 20s crowd is, well, who cares? Okay, you wouldn't care that when you are maybe 18, 20, 22, maybe even 24, but at the age of maybe 30, 35, maybe 40, you must be starting cursing Google Cache and Google servers for something that you have said maybe 5 years, 10 years ago, somewhere on some public forum or in a comments thread of a certain blog. Well, actually, there are people who care. Unfortunately, you can't see it. The slide went missing due to this technical glitch. So who are the people actually do care about what you share on the internet? First, your parents. Of course, the parents are becoming smarter. Moms are on Facebook. By the way, recently at Ogilvy, we did a small study about this Facebook demography of Sri Lanka, and we found real interesting fact, actually. The age demography, not the age, actually, the gender distribution among male and female among the Facebook users in Sri Lanka is somewhere around 60% male and 40% female. But if you segregate the 35 plus Facebook users in Sri Lanka, this number becomes significantly different. 55% of 35 plus Facebook users in Sri Lanka are women. So keep in mind your mom is on Facebook. So be careful what you are sharing on Facebook. Plus, apart from your parents, of course, more importantly, potential employers. Now, you might be just finishing your university studies and thinking of applying to one of the multinational companies in Sri Lanka or some other company. So be aware that, okay, the first thing I would do as soon as I receive a CV in my inbox or on my desktop, Googling for that person's name. and check what this guy has been up to. So not only me, it's been done by many HR professionals in Sri Lanka. It's been done by many bosses. So be aware what is actually appearing out there on the first results page on Google for your full name. And, okay, parents, potential employers, and next, there's this set of people called the marketers, us. So we are really interested in what you guys sharing on Facebook and Twitter, because that helps us to really nicely segment people by their interests, what they like, what they don't like, and target our messages pinpointed at the real target group. So that's good actually. In a way, you are assured that you won't get spam marketing messages. You'll be targeted to the most relevant level. And there's another set of people actually who are really interested about what you share on Facebook, on other domains, the government. When I say government, okay, your first reaction might be, okay, government of Sri Lanka. No, I'm not talking only about the government of Sri Lanka. The governments of other countries who are interested in the, okay, in us, they are also watching us. So Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, once told, Facebook is the biggest man-invented spy machine ever. So they invented it accidentally. You know who invented it. So think about the wealth of information that Facebook is having and who can access that wealth of information. So the governments are really interested in what people share on Facebook, not only on Facebook, on social media. Recently we heard that in India there had been some discussions at the legislature about how to control the information flow on social media. It has been happening in China for a long time, so Sri Lanka is not an exception. So keep in mind, they are interested in what you are sharing on Facebook, so they do care. Well, when you share something on Facebook, first, really, think twice about whether you should really share it or you shouldn't. Now, this is a real good example. You can actually read the entire blog post. I said this bit.ly URL. It's bit.ly/RefreshColombo 001. Now, she's actually, Shia Sylvia is actually a marketing blogger. Now, she shares this cautionary tale about Foursquare, where she actually went to a popular restaurant in her neighborhood with a set of her girlfriends, and they were having coffee, and one waitress walked into the table and asked, is there someone who here by the name Shia Sylvia? And she said, it's me. And the waitress said, okay, there's a phone call for you in the counter. She was surprised, who is actually calling me to this restaurant? And then she went to the call, and only to find out that some guys who is actually spying on her on all these social media tools, saw that this person actually checked into this restaurant, and he knew the number of the restaurant and called. It's not a big deal, but she shares it as a cautionary tale, a cautionary note. It can be worse. So this is why it's very important to keeping a personal space for you on social media. You don't have to check into everywhere you go. Of course, you have to check into this place, but there are some places that you go, you really don't have to check into. And you don't have to share every little, small detail in your personal life, because one thing, it spams your friends. The other thing, it narrows down your personal space. When everybody starts to know that where you go and with whom you hang out, what you ate last night, so then what's the meaning of this life? So keep that personal space while you network with your friends online. And another big myth or big belief among most of the Facebook users is, it's good to have 1,000 friends on Facebook, or it's really good to have maybe 10,000 friends if possible to have one. But I mean, understand that, I mean, it's really not necessary to accept all the Facebook friend requests. Now, in my Facebook profile, I have about 25 to 30 friend requests on pending status, which I don't accept. Some of them are actually some guys from my grade 5 school, or I never, I mean, after my grade 5, I never met them, and even at the grade 5 class, we were not that close friends, so why should I accept that friend request? So it's okay to reject friend requests. It's not necessary to add everyone to your Facebook network, because I'll come to that later. If you keep on adding every people who request you as friends on Facebook, there can be some nightmare situations. So when you use your Facebook or other social media profile, assume that everyone has access to your profile. When I say everyone, it includes your parents, your teachers, your future employers, and the government, the law enforcement. Even if you have your profile restricted to that friends only status, don't discuss things you wouldn't want them to know about. Because, okay, if you really want to discuss something with your friends, a very personal matter, you don't need to put that on your Facebook status. So there are many other options that you have where you can, okay, call your friends and discuss it. More importantly, don't use language you wouldn't use in front of other people. Now this I see very regularly. Now there are guys who regularly use the F word on tweets. When I say F words, I'm not referring to Facebook. The other word which starts with F and ends with K. So these guys, I mean, repeatedly use the word on Facebook status, on tweets, everywhere. But when we meet them in person, they are real nice guys. I mean, they use real nice language. They are projecting totally a different personality on Facebook and on Twitter. Now, what happens is, the problem here is, you are, I mean, in real world, you are a real nice person. But you are painting a bad picture about you on Twitter and on Facebook. Remember the thing I mentioned earlier. Once I receive your CV in my inbox, when I Google for you, what I will see is your projected personality, not the real you. Whereas real you is really nice. So do not use the words that you usually don't use in day-to-day conversations on your Facebook status or tweets. Well, sharing photos on Facebook of yourself and of your friends. Well, you don't have to share everything first. So you have to use discretion when putting pictures on your profile. Now, well, your friends might think this picture is cool, really funny, this and that, but your potential employer will not. He might be having a totally different set of perceptions, so he might interpret the same picture as not cool, which might end up in you not getting the job. So this can happen. Actually, I have this experience. I mean, about few months back, I started to see, appearing, a set of photographs taken at Unawatuna Beach apparently, not at the Red Bull Air Show. What happened was, actually, one of my Facebook friends went on a trip down south to Unawatuna, and someone in that gang took all these photographs and uploaded it to Facebook and tagged my friend. So what happened was, all these group photos started appearing on my newsfeed, on my home feed. Now, except for that one person, all the rest of the other people, I don't know them. But their pictures are being shared with a stranger, that's me. So, on that friend's profile, there can be hundreds other strangers who might not be the same guy as me. This set of pictures, which including both girls and boys, which were taken at Unawatuna beach, you know what I mean when I say that, could have easily ended up in some gossip site. Okay, this school, the kids went on this trip and these are the pictures, could have easily ended up in such a place. So be careful, because there might be really innocent people in that bunch of people who actually, don't even have a Facebook account, who don't want to share their photos online. So we'll have to look into all these aspects before we share someone else's picture or photo in particular. So sharing photos with friends of friends privacy setting can be a nightmare. That's why I just explained why I saw that friend, the photo stream was because that album was shared under the friends of friends privacy setting. So make sure when you're uploading something, always use the friends only privacy setting. Well, as a break, those who can read this, please read. I'm not going to read it out loud. I don't think the guys in the back can. I found this on Oh My God Internet. So this can really happen. So that's why the other important fact is you'll have to know your privacy settings. Now, Facebook is very popular for changing their privacy settings, so regularly, once every week, or I don't know. So it's, we'll have to accept that most of us, we spend more than 3 hours a day on Facebook. Easily more than 3 hours a day. But is it a big deal to spend just 1 hour every month to review your privacy settings? Check what are your privacy settings, how best you can control your privacy on Facebook. In the news, actually, these are some of the headlines in some of the national papers. මාස 6ක් තුලදී Facebook සම්බන්ධ අපරාධ පැමිණිලි 400ක්. පසුගිය මාස තුලදී Facebook සම්බන්ධ පැමිණිලි 700කට වැඩි සංඛ්‍යාවක්. So this is real. This is happening. This is happening in Sri Lanka, and thankfully, CERT is doing a great job. If you are affected by any of these cyber crimes or Facebook-related harassments, just drop an email to this address, so they will actually quickly take actions. That's what I learned from people who actually went for their help. And another thing that you will have to keep in mind is not all these social networks or social media tools are the same. They are meant for different purposes, different reasons. So it is not a must that you have to add all the people you follow on Twitter onto your Facebook as well. Keep these different networks for different purposes. Now, I usually use Facebook to keep in touch with the people who I regularly interact in real life. At least I met in my real life at least once. And of course, Twitter is my open platform. I start following anyone and I let anyone to follow me. And when I share things on, those who are on my Facebook and on my Twitter, on both the platforms knows that things I share on Facebook are totally different from the things that I share on Twitter. I don't talk politics much on Twitter, but I do talk politics a lot on Facebook because it's my close friends group. I don't share my family related any photographs or anything on my Twitter, but I do that on Facebook. So use these tools for different purposes, what they are meant for. Now, okay, when sharing videos, okay, you don't have to share everything on YouTube. For example, very personal or your family birthday party of someone. So you don't have to share it on YouTube. Instead, you can use Facebook to share such a video. Whereas YouTube can be something really worth watching public. And of course, well, I'm still trying to figure out where Google Plus falls. I don't know what's the, still trying to figure out what's the real value in it. So finally, last couple of slides of my presentation. social media, it should be used with integrity. When I say integrity, even though sometimes it feels like it's not cool to do that, or it's not cool, you don't feel comfortable of doing that, but if it is the right thing, keep doing that. Because don't be the monkey with the razor blade. The Sinhala saying, "Vandurata dalipihi ambuna wage karaganna epa." So that's why, I mean, this will end up in certain consequences, I'll tell you. First, abusing freedom of expression will end up in inviting more censorship and control from the part of the government. So it's like inviting, censor us. If you are abusing, so that's what will happen actually. And this will spoil the soup for everyone. The fair users, them also will get affected. I mean, say, all of a sudden, if the government decide to block Facebook or Twitter, so the fair users also will get affected. That happened in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, and other places. And keep in mind, social media is not above the law. So though you have access and knowledge to use social media, it doesn't mean that you can manipulate things, or it doesn't mean that you can act above the law. So everything which falls under the law, so social media also applies the same treatment. So there are certain, I mean, perceptions or ideologies that social media is a little bit over the law. That's how in some North African countries this also started. But at the end of the day, it's your life, so you'll have to make the decision where you want to end up in. And that's all about my presentation. If you are not aware as of now, I work at this company called Neo at Ogilvy, which is actually part of Phoenix O&M, the advertising agency, the digital media arm of Phoenix. And a small commercial message. Facebook app developers, Flash game developers, and Android and iPhone developers to work with us as freelancers and preferred partners, not as full-time employees. Unfortunately, we'd like to have a few, but the resource allocations. So we have a few, I mean, really interesting projects coming up with some of the new clients that we started working up with. So I thought this is the right platform to communicate this message. So if you are interested in working with us as a freelancer or as a preferred partner, please drop me an email, amita.amarsinghe@ogilvy.com. So with that commercial message, I end my presentation on safe and responsible social media. So I deliberately avoided a Q&A session, because if you ask me a question, I can't answer, because all of the things that I shared with you are my opinion and my perception, I mean the way I think. So what you can do is, you can add on top of what I've already shared, you can give your point of view, give your ideas, express your ideas as well, because I don't think I'm able to answer any questions related to this, because none of these things are my innovations, none of these things I created, so there's no way I can answer any of the questions.
Awesome.